Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the I Can Relate podcast. I am Gabby Chavez, your host and owner at Learn, Lash, Repeat Training Academy here in Dallas, Texas. My journey in the beauty industry has allowed me to meet some badass individuals, and one of them being my first guest. Jake Tafoya is not only my friend, but the owner of the award-winning The ModLab. As a true artist, she has created not only a brand, but a movement centered around empowerment. The work her and her team do every day goes further than the salon chair. It changes them. I can definitely say I'm one of those people. She's been featured in Forbes, Pop Sugar, D Magazine, Birdie, and with more than 15,000 followers, continues to bring light to important conversations. Now let's dive into the conversation. Hey friend, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you tell everyone how we met?
Ooh. See, the thing is, friend, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember exactly how we met, but I know you've been doing my lashes for about 10 years. I think that's how we initially met, was you were my lash girl, and you've been my lash girl forever. And I mean, yeah, I think we're going on, 11 years now?
I think so.
Yeah.
2012? No, it's more.
No, it was more than that.
2012.
Because it was around the time I was still at my old salon when I was transitioning into the studio. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been a while. I'm loyal. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not going nowhere. You stuck with me. Yeah, I think that's how we met. Do you remember actually meeting face to face, like on a random, like outside anywhere? I feel like the first time I met you was at your suite that was right there off of Tyler. Mm-hmm. And you had, I mean, it wasn't even a big suite.
Broom closet.
It was your room closet.
Broom closet.
It was your broom closet. But I loved it. It was such a vibe. And you know, definitely made an amazing impression on me. And you've always done amazing lashes. So if I remember correctly, I don't think we actually ever met outside of. I think that's where it all started. Yeah. Was there. In the studio, at your broom closet.
Broom closet. What pushed you to be in the industry? Because how long has it been?
14 years. It's been 14 years since I've been in the industry. I know that there's a lot of different angles on how I got in. Initially, I think where it started in the foundation was just growing up with my mom. She was very, fabulous. And I mean, you know Clara Beth Hernandez. You know what I'm talking about? If anybody knows Clara Beth Hernandez, then you know exactly why I got into the beauty industry. She was just fabulous. She always had the best style. She dressed great. She was always up to trends. So I used to just love watching her get ready in the morning. And somehow or another, when I graduated, I went the direction of fashion design, because I knew I wanted to be in the beauty industry somehow or another, but I didn't know that I wanted to be in the actual hair industry. I knew I wanted to be somewhere in fashion, beauty, all of that intrigued me. So I think once I graduated from the Art Institute of Dallas, shortly after that time, I ended up getting pregnant with my son. And it was like, okay, you have this pivotal moment as a kid, because I was still a kid. I was, 19 years old when I had him. And you go through this like pivotal moment and you're like, hey, I have to do something with my life, and I have to do it quick. Mm-hmm. Because when you're a parent and, you're about to bring this whole human being into the world, it gets kind of scary, and you want to make sure that you have something left for your children. My parents had already started building their legacy in the law industry. So for me, it was more or less, I think it was just a pivot of where I needed to go. And something about the fashion industry didn't really grab me. Mm-hmm. I know when people go into the fashion industry, it's like one or the other. But the thing with the fashion industry is it's a funnel. So a lot will go in. If you want to be a designer, a lot will go in, and barely anything will actually make it out. You have to know people that know people that know people. And I didn't know anybody.
It's about who you know.
I didn't know anybody. So when I ended up getting pregnant, I was like, hey, I got to find a different route. So I ended up just randomly deciding, okay, well, maybe I want to do hair and makeup for film. And I could work locally, work with an agency. There was a lot of different routes that I could have taken. And when I went into hair school, which was Ogle in North Dallas, when I went into the school to meet with the admissions counselor, her name was Wendy, by the way, She was this coolest woman, and she was just like, lady, your vibe is just out of this world. And she's like, I don't think you should go in the esthetician program, because that was kind of the main focus on Estes were makeup. She was like, I feel like you're a hairstylist. Have you ever thought about doing hair? And I'm like, no, I don't really know how to do my hair, so I don't think that's a good move. And she was just like, hey, try it out for a week. And if you decide you don't want to do it, then we're going to take you back towards Esty. So within the first couple of days, I remember after I enrolled, I remember going into the admissions, into her office, and I was like, hey, I want to stick with cosmetology. I really like this.
What part of it did you like the most?
Working with the hair and mannequins, it was fun because it was like you get to pretend. I was a kind of a girly. I love dolls and stuff growing up, so I was like, I get my own doll head. Like this is, I get to play house and play beauty shop every day. So I think that was kind of what intrigued me, and my instructor was pretty awesome too. She was pretty great. So I think it was just a combination of the two. And being able to like connect with people. And when you're in the service industry, you know this more than anything, right? I've dumped my whole life on you, right? But you get to connect with women on a different spectrum. You don't just, okay, let me do your nails, or let me, get you in, get you out. It's, you spend an hour or two sometimes with them, and
family.
They become family. They become family. Just like this right here. I was your client. I started off as your client, and here we are. Almost 11 years later, right here.
You build family, you build connections. It's not just network.
No, definitely not just network.
With that being said, that would explain the ModLab Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, the ModLab.
How you started in a semi-broom closet too?
It was a semi-broom closet, 400 square feet. A lot of hand-me-down furniture. I actually found my couch at a Goodwill. It was funny, but that couch,
I remember it being full of pillows.
Yeah.
Pillows everywhere.
That was my couch. That place really, it was a throw up of who I was. It was like records on the wall and crazy colors. And you remember the suite. It was fun. It was a great place, but I didn't walk in there with the intention of it growing as big as it is now. Mm-hmm. That was never my intention. My intention was, I want a really cool, dope spot to do hair. I want to be able to have a team who loves hair like I love it, who has a passion for it like I do. And somehow or another, that was the seed that was planted. And just over the years, we just watered it. And the more people that came on and watered it. And eventually it evolved into what it is now. And it's just a big blessing. But I didn't have this grand, dream and this grand goal of having what it is now, or even having any more. I think once I first opened up the salon, the suite, by the time we got into the main salon, that's when my dream started to get really big. And I was like, ooh, I want salons, I want multiple salons. I want salons here, I want salons there, I want this city, I want that city, I want out of state, I want a salon in Paris. My dreams just were I was in the clouds at that point. Just the fact that I was able to get to that point, it was a blessing. But that's pretty much how it started, I guess, the evolution. But it was never planned, and I don't think you really plan a lot of things in life. It's just things that happen, mm-hmm. and it's just a series of events that all lead up to this beautiful ending. And not even saying that it's an ending, obviously, but I think it's just how it was supposed to happen.
And what do you want now for the ModLab?
What do I want for the ModLab? Oh,
because
man.
you had a couple locations. I
did. And what's funny is this question gets asked a lot. To be honest with you, if you would have asked me this a year ago, not even a year ago, 2 years ago, my question would have been really different. What I wanted for the ModLab. Now, I'm very, very, very happy and satisfied with where it is. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know everyone expects these entrepreneurs to come in and be like, just, motivated and, let's just build and grow and grow and grow. And I feel like we really did cap our growth. And where we are now, a 7,000 square foot building, 36 stations, amazing team of women. Like I said, if you would have asked me that question a couple years ago, my answer would have been different. I would have told you I wanted to be all over the world. I'm just very happy with where we are now. Not only because I feel like I'm in a better headspace, but also because of the peace that's come with it.
It's tiring being an entrepreneur.
It is very tiring. It is very tiring. And for the last, 9 years, we've been open for 10. We just celebrated our 10 year. But for the last 9 years, my head was in the clouds. It was, what's next? What's the next move? Where are we going next? What's the next move? What's the next plan? Build, 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 build. And I blinked, and my son was grown up. And I blinked, and so much time had passed. Mm-hmm. I would have people that would come and just tell me, like, oh my gosh, you have no idea what you've accomplished. Like, you're an inspiration. And I would look at them like, why? I haven't even tipped the iceberg of what I'm capable of. Not realizing that I had just achieved something that a lot of people haven't. And what some people dream of having, I actually had. And to be able to live that out and say, you know what, I did all of those things. And it really wasn't worth it. And when I got to that place where I had everything I had dreamed of, it just didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. It felt empty, and it felt lifeless. And I felt empty, and I felt lifeless. And it wasn't fulfilling me in any type of way.
So it's safe to say that less is more.
For different strokes, for different folks, okay? Because there are people out there that want... Your definition of less, but... My definition, and that's just my own personal experience. Hey, reach for the stars, and you don't know what you're capable of doing. I had no idea I was capable of reaching the heights that I reached. I was on Forbes in 2019. I was on We Are Me Too. I was on Pop Sugar. I had articles all over. I had my 3 locations. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here.
But did you enjoy all of it?
No, I don't even remember the ride, if that makes sense.
No.
I don't remember being on that journey to get there. I just remember blinking and I was there because I was so outside of my head. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't living it. I wasn't enjoying every moment of it. I was constantly the next step ahead. Well, what's next? What's next? And like I said, this question is very different now. This is one of my first podcasts that I've done. Actually, this is my second podcast that I've done post 2022. And I'm very content with where I am. Everyone asks, what's next? What's next? I have no idea. And honestly, I don't really care. Yeah. I don't really care. All I know is that every day I wake up and I put one foot in front of the other. And I get through the best I can with that one day. And I live that day. And I feel that day. And when the day goes bad, I feel it. And I allow myself to feel it. When it goes good, I embrace it and I enjoy it. I'm not thinking about what's going to happen a year from now. I'm not thinking about what's going to happen 10 years from now. I know that if I give every day and I move every day and I am the best I can with just this 24-hour period, that those little things are going to start to add up. And the blessings that have come into my life after letting go of who I thought I was supposed to be is so much more fulfilling. I feel filled. My cup is full, if that makes sense. As an entrepreneur, naturally, we're going to fill up everyone else's cup, right? They don't talk about those things when they talk about entrepreneurship, about how much you are at the back of the line. People think, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm powerful. I can do what I want. I make my own schedule. No, you are going to work harder than anyone of your staff.
Absolutely.
You are going to work harder than anyone at all. And a lot of people don't do that. And I did for so many years. I was always just pouring and pouring and pouring into everyone's cup. Well, what about me?
Do you feel it got overlooked because you made it look so easy?
Oh man, I made it look like a breeze. Girl, I made it look like a breeze, but I was dying inside, you know? And I don't feel like as women, even as a woman, we don't ask ourselves that question enough. Don't I matter? Don't my feelings matter? And it's not that all, it doesn't mean that the people around you are taking from you, but you are giving so freely. Mm-hmm. You're just here, take this, and I'm going to pour into my business. I'm going to pour into, my friends. I'm going to pour into my employees and my clients and my guests and my family and my kids and all of that. But nobody talks about pouring into yourself.
So how do you pour into yourself?
Ooh, baby. God, therapy. I pour into myself by getting massages once a week. I pour into myself by meditating, yoga, praying, spending time with my daughter, spending time with my family, prioritizing the things that fulfill me and make me happy versus doing things that I feel society wants me to do as an entrepreneur, right? Society paints a really good picture of what we're supposed to look like as an entrepreneur, right? You got to have this, you got to have this, you got to be dripped, you got to this, you got to that. And I played that role for 9 years. But that role was never fulfilling for me.
You were on fumes.
I was on fumes. I was drained. There was nothing left to pour in. When it was time to pour into myself, which was 8-9 months pregnant, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go on maternity leave and I'm going to take care of me and take care of this little human that I have. By that time, I was so drained and worn out that I had nothing left to give me and nothing left to give to my daughter. And it was a struggle. It really was. So postpartum, I go through these series of events and things happen. And it was like, back then I was like, God, why? Like, why is all this happening at once? And how could I have to close, 2 salons and lose my home and all of these things, all of like this catalyst of this horrible storm that I went through for almost a whole year right after I had my daughter. So I'm postpartum, just became single, XYZ. Closed 2 of my businesses, lost my home, lost one of my cars, keyword, one of my cars, that sounds horrible coming out, but it was true. It was like all these things happened. It was the storm I was writing out, and I was like, why, God, why? But I take a look at where I'm at now, and I'm like, it makes sense.
You feel you appreciate it a bit more? Not
only do I appreciate it, I'm grateful that I went through that. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful that I not only went through it, but I got out of it. And I picked myself back up and I kept going. And it didn't break me. And I could have closed the whole salon down. Trust me, that thought went through my head every day. And I just wanted to give up. I didn't want to continue the ModLab. I felt like I had failed as an owner. And it was funny is like all these articles that were written, the podcasts that I had did prior to, I would always tell people, let your faith be bigger than your fears and don't fear failure and blah, blah, blah. And then here I am, a failure. I made choices that were not right choices. And I ended up being a failure. Oh my gosh, I'm a failure. And now I have to drink that. And it was like vinegar. Mm-hmm. And I actually was like, I'm a failure. I am a horrible boss. I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible mother. I'm a horrible friend. I suck at everything. I really started to believe that.
You questioned everything.
I questioned everything. If someone would have come and said, hey, I'll give you $100,000 for the ModLab, I'd be like, here's the keys. Take it. I was doing everything in my power to try to let go of that responsibility, but that wasn't the plan for my life. What I'm doing now is just different. How I'm moving now is different. How I get up every day and how I go to sleep every night. Everything is different. I'm different.
So do you really feel that everything you went through has been a failure, or you feel like that was you pouring into yourself for once?
No, I definitely made some shitty choices.
Well, there's that.
I definitely made some shitty choices, but that's the great thing about it. I'm human. And we're human. And as an entrepreneur, you have this, especially someone who's known, right? I'm not sitting here saying I'm an influencer at all. But,
Are you?
but people know who I am, yeah. Right? what did Ron Burgundy say? People know me, right? So people do. They know who I am. I've been able to go places and they're like, oh, you do hair, you know? But to be in that limelight and to be under a microscope, you move different. You know what I mean? Like it's people look up to you. People are like, I'm watching you and you're their hope for a brighter future.
Right.
And when you fall on your ass, it's so hard to be that person. And it's so hard to even believe that in yourself.
And do you feel society had a lot to do with it because you're not human?
Girl, society dictated. Society dictated my choices. It dictated how I moved, how I reacted to certain things that I didn't talk about, things that I did. Society had a lot of control over who I was. Social media had a big control over who I was. But just the experience alone, I don't regret it. I believe that God moved things in my life for a reason. He took out things in my life for a reason. And he aligned it exactly the way it needed to for me to be in a space that I am now, in a healthy headspace, in a healthy, physical space. My business is still continuing to grow without me even putting so much effort into it because we already built something that was so beautiful.
Right.
And all those people and all the women that worked with me that poured into this business, we were able to create something very beautiful. And at this point, it's just me just continuing, to walk in their footsteps and to continue to walk in, wherever this is going, I'm grateful.
That is definitely, what's the word that I'm trying to say is it's a lot to take in, Like you said, for 9 years, you were going hard for your business and not for you. Mm-hmm. And that's scary because you can get lost really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it was terrifying to be at that space and to be there and have the thoughts I was having. But we don't prioritize mental health enough. And not only in entrepreneurship, Gabby, but in life in general. Everybody needs therapy. And especially with our culture, I feel like there's this stigma on therapy. Like if you're going to therapy, something's wrong. Why does something have to be wrong for us to go to therapy? We bottle so much up inside that we can't talk to our spouses and we can't talk to our partners. We can't talk to our friends about it. So we harbor it here. I dump every week on my therapist.
Right.
Every week I look forward to my Mondays. My Sundays are for my Sundays are for the Lord, girl. But Mondays I'm like, girl, I dump.
Right.
And it's so refreshing and it feels good to let all that out. Whatever I was harboring for the week, it's almost like, okay, I'm ready to go, ready to take on the next day and ready to bring on this week. And I'm looking forward to it.
So real quick, tell me about a day of business with your daughter now, because you're a girl mom.
Okay. I'm like, that's tough. I do have to get out by 5 o'clock. I got to make sure I get her from her nanny. My days are shortened. I'll start earlier. But I don't mind it. I don't mind wrapping up. I remember when I got pregnant with her, I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm used to working sun up to sundown at the salon. How in the world am I going to bring this child on? Oh, in my head, I was like, I'll just hire a nanny and have her be there full time. That'll be fine. Once I had her, it was so different. And I feel horrible. I feel very guilty as a mother from not, I was in a different headspace when I had my son. It was like build. I need something to leave. I need him to have some type of legacy. I want him to have something when I go. This time around, it's a little different. I want to be there. I want to wake up with her and I want to go to sleep with her and I want to put her to bed. I want to be the one to bathe her. I want to be able to watch her grow. It is so beautiful to be able. So
she came into your life to teach you something?
Ooh, she grounded me. God knew what he was doing because I needed her. In many ways, I needed my daughter. Everything changed after I became a mother for the second time. I did not plan on having any more kids, Gabby. You know that. Everybody was like, are you going to have more kids? hell no, I ain't having no kids. I'm done. My son's already grown. I'm good. You know, I looked at it like an inconvenience to have another child. And when I got pregnant with her, don't get me wrong, I had thoughts. I was like, do I really want to go through with this? And don't get me wrong, I was a little delulu in the relationship that I was in. So I was like, oh, yeah, it's going to bring us together. No, it did not. But it was such a blessing. And she was just that pivot I needed in my life. As a woman, as a human being, I feel more as a woman, you're going to go through a pivot at different stages in your life. Mm-hmm. She was my pivot. She grounded me. She brought the human back out in me. I wasn't a robot anymore with her.
Right.
And I feel like everyone around me, I was this robot, like, just go, 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 never run out of gas. And with her, I became more soft. I became more human. I became more, I spend more intimate times with her. We'll just actually just turn everything off. I put on music and we'll lay on the floor and dance, or we'll just listen to music or whatever it is. And I'm so alive in that moment and I'm so present in that moment. I don't ever want to miss that. So when the time comes and I'm at the salon, it's 5:00. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta get my baby. And that changes. Sometimes, you know, as an entrepreneur, when you have kids, it's almost like that drive to do more.
Right.
But I did that. Mm-hmm. I'm a walking testimony of I tried that route. And I blinked, and yeah, my business had grown, but my son was grown too. And I missed so many like pivotal years for him. So many pinnacle years. I missed his first steps. I missed some of his first words. I missed all of these things because all I wanted to do was work. And I thought that it was because he needed stability and he needed a future. And I needed to make sure his college was taken care of. I could afford a car whenever he needed a car. He didn't want those things.
Right.
He wanted me. He didn't need a mom who was working all the time. He needed mom to be right there with him.
So with that being said, aside from all the personal changes, when it comes to your business, what do you feel you are doing different now that you should have done from the get-go?
Be selfish.
Well, okay, I guess from an entrepreneur standpoint, you have the option to commission or rent. What do you feel? Okay,
I did both. We started as commission. We were always commission. Commission was very normal back then. When I opened up in 2013, everybody was doing commission. Some owners were, you know, not saying that they were lazy, but they were just like, just get the bills paid. And they would do booth rent. The commission was a lot of work. But it was great money. The salon brought in great money. I gave, you know, my stylist a good curve to work off of. And the salon, everybody was making money. Everybody was successful. Mm-hmm. We were all doing great. COVID, that happened. And I feel like COVID changed the economic landscape of our industry. It put a fear in people. Mm-hmm. It put a fear in everybody. Everybody was looking at every dollar they were making. People were looking at, well, how much does it cost to do this? And what does it cost to do that? Because we don't know. COVID really changed so much. And the first stylist that came to me was like, would you ever offer booth rent? Mm-hmm. I was like, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I never really thought about it that way. Booth rent scared me because I'm like, my team, like, we're going to be ripped apart. We're not going to be a team anymore. Booth rent is every man for himself. So, you know, you're on your own. Well, I was a mama bear. I took care of everybody. Those were my kids.
Right.
No, I got you. You don't need to get you. I got you. It wasn't even the money part. It was more or less like, I don't want my team to be split. That was my initial fear of doing booth rent. I started it, which was another reason why, of course, we had to close because I didn't sit there and do the numbers and, you know, look at the finances of what we could afford and what we couldn't. But when it came down to it, fast forward to now, we're still hybrid. We only have a few stylists at the salon that are commission. By June of next year, we'll be full booth rent. And I know people will look at it different, right? You're going to make great money doing commission. But the amount of work that you're going to put into it to make sure that you're stocked, to make sure your retail shelves are stocked, are full, to make sure you have everything and your stylists have everything they need. We still provide education. That doesn't change. But the stress that came with providing the inventory.
So the inventory was provided for booth renters or commission-based?
No. Inventory is only provided for commission.
And now majority of your people
Now majority of our people. Now we still have a full inventory, but what the booth renters do is they buy from me as a convenience. So I'll still keep it stocked just because the transition, I knew from my stylist who had done commission for so long, it was going to be scary for them. So I wanted to make sure that it was a smooth transition from commission into booth rent.
Right.
Now I'm all for booth rent. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, you're going to make great money doing commission. You really are. But is it going to be worth mentally what you're going to be putting into it?
Right.
For me, it's not. I prioritize my mental health. I prioritize my mental health before anything else.
Right.
And if I look at a situation, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to benefit me mentally. I don't know if this is something that I can handle.
Right.
I'm going to say no. And that was one word that I never used before was no. And now I say no all the time. Nope, I'm sorry.
No.
But it's just, for me, you have to look at, okay, if you're commissioned, are you willing to take the pay cut to...
It's going to cost you something.
It's going to cost you something. It's time or money. And it's not necessarily the time. I still work just as hard as I did before. The money has changed, but my mental health is of an all-time. Like I'm just mentally, I'm in a really good place.
Good.
And I'm not willing to take that on anymore, especially with my daughter. The way I see it is, it's going to take more time away from her, and she doesn't deserve that.
Right.
So if it's going to take more time away from me, it's going to take more time away from her. It's not worth it for me.
Okay. And besides the money, what do you think is also important as far as branding?
Your brand is your identity.
Okay.
At the end of the day, your brand is your identity translated to the world. That's what your brand is. And it's easy to get on Pinterest. It's easy to get on Canva and look up logos and see what's trending. It's easy to do that. But does that brand speak to who you are? Is it going to be easily translated? I feel like a lot of people fail to really dig deep into what their branding is representing. You could easily just throw a name and a logo and throw that out there to the world. But is that really who you are? That's the way I see the ModLab. The ModLab is me and my identity and everybody that has put into that translated to the world. That's what a brand is. So yes, you can find inspiration from this person and that person. I have always found inspiration from different brands. But how do you make it your own? Right?
Any tips for that?
Figure out who you are.
That's
probably the best piece of advice I can give anybody who's stepping into entrepreneurship or wanting to build a brand of substance is figure out who you are first. Don't go into this world blindsided. Don't go into entrepreneurship blindsided.
With that being said, do you feel that when you started, you knew everything you were doing, or?
Absolutely not. I walked into this with a blindfold over my eyes. I had no idea what I was doing.
So what was your headspace like every move?
Trial and error. That didn't work. Let me go this route. That's pretty much how I moved for so many years. This didn't work out, so we're going to try this. All right, that didn't work out, we're going to try this. I was relentless in my pursuit to succeed. It was this, I moved with no fear. I was reckless. I was, let's do this. Let's do that. And I never really thought things through. It was just boom, 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 boom. I want to be this. And my end goal, I talked about this in a podcast I did towards the beginning of the year, was I moved so much with desire, not purpose. Not purpose. It was never, I'm not saying that it wasn't, because my brand was built off of my love for women and my love for wanting to give back and my love for just how we look at ourselves as women. But somewhere along the lines, it got wrapped up in desire.
Right.
And then it was like, I want to be powerful and I want to be this. I want to be this, person that everybody knows. I want to walk into a room and I have to introduce myself type shit. And I'm
But you will.
which, by the grace of God, I haven't given up on this. So yes, by default, it tends to be that way.
Right.
But figure out who you are. If I had any inkling of who I was as a woman or a girl, I was 24 when I opened up, 23 when I opened up my salon. If I had any inkling of who I was, I probably would have taken a beat and found another salon and continued to learn more about the business aspect of running a salon versus just, hey, you do hair, you get paid and that's it. That's how you grow. Absolutely not.
That's the mindset we have, though.
That's the mindset a lot of artists have. Mm-hmm. If you're in the service industry, if you're in the beauty industry, you're an artist. We are not technical people. We don't open up a salon with a business degree. Do the research, learn about the finances.
It's not just the business or the skill, it's the customer service.
It is the customer service.
The
hospitality, the experience, the smells, the music, the vibe. I dumped, not even I, my business partner at that, we dumped $500,000 into the ModLab, into the Arlington location. Mm-hmm. We're in $500,000 on that place because I'm like, I have to create this space that, was something that people could come and enjoy. And I made sure the music was good and I made sure the smells were good and the vibes were good and everything just looked good. You have to be able to present this luxurious experience for our clients. And I mean, a lot of people, they look at that and that is important to them, but more people need to look at the financial standpoint of opening a business. It's not just the creative side, but it also takes a village. It takes a village. You cannot do it by yourself.
I mean, you can, but
no, you can't.
Mental health is out the door.
You cannot do it by yourself. You can only go so far alone. It takes a village. And my village includes my stylist. My village includes my friends. My village includes my family and the support system that I have. It includes my CPA, includes my accountant, includes my business partner who constantly keeps me under his thumb. It includes all of those things because I would have closed the salon 2 years ago if it wasn't for the village that came and was like, hey, we're not going to let you fail. Who were able to see.
Do you wish you would have took that help early on?
Yes. But I'm a prideful person. I could do it by myself. No, I would be like, help me, please help me. Girl, I would have taken that help. So to anyone listening that is considering opening up a business for themselves or
take the help.
Take the help and learn. Knowledge is power. I'm a student of life. I'm always learning. I don't know it all. I still don't know it all. I still have so much to learn. Be open to learning.
I know people tend to feel a certain type of way around other stylists. What is your recommendation for that?
In what aspect?
In a sense that they feel like it's competition or anything like that.
I feel like that has a lot to do with your environment as a whole and your leader. If you walk into a salon and you feel like you're at competition with the other stylists and you're...
Or what if it's just you independently working, but you just feel like, how do I say it? You feel like insecure about your work, or you feel like you're not good enough in a sense. Like how does one overcome that who feels like they're just not on their level? And maybe they are. They're probably better than them.
Ask questions.
But what if they don't ask questions?
Girl, learn. Damn. Get out there and learn. I would tell you that when I opened up the salon, 2013, between 2013 and 2018, all I did was travel. I was traveling everywhere. I was going to LA, to Arizona, to New York, everywhere I could. I just wanted to learn everything that there was to offer. Mm-hmm. Like I said, in order to be in this industry that is ever so changing, we have to consistently be students.
Yeah.
And we have to be willing to learn, and we have to be willing to accept change. You know, people who are in the industry that I've seen, have been in the industry 10, 20 years, they're not very prone to change. But honey, it is constantly changing. Every day the trends are changing.
Yeah.
So you have to be a student every day you have to be a student. There's something to learn. I learn things off of my daughter. I have learned things off of a toddler about myself as a woman that I couldn't learn going to therapy. Like, this girl taught me all about emotions and big emotions and what she needs, what I need to provide for her to calm down, you know. But be a student and be willing to be a student. We're not going to know it all.
Right.
We're not going to have it all figured out. So if you're insecure in the industry, you're stepping into the industry, get out there and learn and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. People send me messages all the time. I'm like, how can I help? Mm-hmm. You know, be open to that. And sometimes, yeah, you do have to pay for education. I'm not charging people to give them advice, but they're taking it for free right now. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, no, I definitely think that knowledge is power. And the more knowledge you get, the more you're going to build that confidence within this industry. Definitely.
I do have one last question for you. How do you feel about friendships and business?
Don't do it. Woo, don't do it.
So what's one piece of relatable advice that you can give us aside from that?
About friendships and business?
Just friendships and business. Or even if you started a business and you guys weren't friends, but you guys have become the best of friends. Where's that thin line? Where do you draw that line?
Boundaries.
How do you build those boundaries? You're spending majority of your time with some of these.
I don't really go out with my team. I've never really gone out with my team. I've never really been I've never been a big party animal regardless, but I've always separated the two, definitely. I have to make sure that my team trusts me and that they look up to me. If I go out and get, you know, hammered with them, are they really going to trust, you know, the decisions that I'm making? You're the captain of the ship. All of the friendships that I've built within that salon, I didn't know any of them. I hired them. Mm-hmm. And the friendships that I've built, I'm grateful for. Even the friendships that I lost, I'm still grateful for. But at the end of the day, there was always boundaries that were set. And those were boundaries that I set. There are things that I would do with my team and there were things that I didn't. And that does separate you as an entrepreneur. You're going to be separated from your team. But I'm not there to be their friend. And I moved that way for a long time, which is why I was a yes man. Whatever you need, yes. Now I say no, I'm not going to do it. Because I'm thinking of the grand scheme of things. If I make these decisions for one person and their feelings, what does that mean for the whole brand as a whole? These decisions could tank an entire business. I'm not going to make those decisions anymore. So sometimes you don't go out with your team if you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes you don't party with your people. You know, you want to make sure that you stand in that leadership position at all times. They need to be able to trust you. And I lost the trust of my team because I cared too much about the friendship than I did the business. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I don't believe that you should mix the two. If you have a friend and you do own a business, I don't think that it's smart to mix the two. You don't do that. You are putting your friendship at risk, and it's not worth it. I have a best friend that's been my best friend for almost 18 years now. Not once have we ever talked about merging. And that, by the grace of God, came from my parents as entrepreneurs. They hired friends and family. Mm-hmm. And where are they now? Well,
no relationship.
No relationship. I'm not willing to take that risk. So I learned from them, thank God. But at the same time, I just knew that it wasn't smart to mix the two. So I think in relations to outside friends and family coming into your business, unless there's clear indications that they're either partners or there's contracts and paperwork involved, then I don't recommend it.
So keep work.
Keep work, and keep your friendships, you know, where they are. I don't think that mixing the two is smart at all.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's not I've had my own share of experiences and I've lost friendships making those decisions, and it's
not worth it.
It's not worth it, no.
Well, I love that advice. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope this helps somebody, see you in a different light from, things that were done in the past or could have been said or anything. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, we're all human and we're allowed to have our errors. And I think just being able to see your headspace from 2 years ago to now, it's a lot of growth.
Yeah. So. And definitely my intention is not to try to, revive my name or how anybody thinks of me. I really could care less. I want to be able to offer a little light and shed some light on people, especially entrepreneurs who are in darkness like I was.
Right.
And don't really have any direction and don't know where to go and don't prioritize mental health. And I push that a lot. I talked about that during the Boss Fest and how important it is for us to prioritize our mental health. We cannot pour into our business, our friendships, our life, if we do not pour into ourselves first. So to anyone who's listening to this, I hope that you can take this advice, use my testimony as a navigation through what you can possibly overcome if you just seek help and ask for it. Definitely.
I personally don't feel like failure is a bad thing. I think it just, if you can embrace it, it takes you to somewhere better.
It's not a bad thing. I actually failed, and I'm like, I let that failure cloud my mind for many months, and it tossed me into depression. But I got through it, and therapy helped, and God helped, and my community helped. Your village is everything, and who you surround yourself is very, very important. And I don't think people look at their community and their village as closely as they should.
All right. Well, thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm like, I'll see you next week. I'll leave my lashes done, girl.
I appreciate you listening to the first episode. There are some amazing guests lined up, so make sure to subscribe on YouTube, and you can find us anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast.